Welcome to the Games Revealed podcast. Join our revolving group of guests as we explore the world of video games, hardware, and general nerdiness. From the Steam Deck to playing your favorite games in the haunted woods, we cover fun and entertaining topics that any gentle gamer can enjoy. Welcome back to Games Revealed. This is podcast episode 17, I think. This is the one after Halloween.
There you go.
We partied all last week.
Yeah. So hopefully y'all had a good Halloween.
Spooky Halloween. We know we did. I know we did, I guess. Or
Yes.
It was spent in the woods. We don't need to go into it. You go watch it. Don't watch it. I don't need to repeat what we do every time. But it was fun, spooky time. So go watch that. We'll even do scarier next time.
Ooh.
But now we're done with it. Even though I do like the spooky season. What is even spookier is today's topic, and that is AI taking over everything. You think you're going to be playing games in 10 years? No, AI is going to be playing games for you. You're just going to be watching AI on Twitch playing games because you won't be able to, you're going to be like off of that one movie, WALL-E.
Oh, yeah.
You're going to be, you audience, listeners, viewers, whatever you're doing to consume this sweet, sweet content, you're the guys.
You're going to be doing it from your own motorized lounge chair.
Yes.
On the Axiom with breakfast, lunch, and dinner in a cup.
That sounds so depressing. As long as they make it taste good, I guess. But yes, that's going to be you. If you don't heed our warnings today.
Bum, bum, bum.
And we all know it starts in two industries. When things start to go, like, really improve or I guess evolve. What are some of the industries that get the new tech, the new stuff first?
Well, definitely tech industry with computers and software and
Gaming
hardware,
and all that.
gaming.
We don't need to get into the other one. The other one's boring, but that's what the saying is always like. What's the new age? What's happening? You can kind of guess if you go, like, honestly, the boring one's the one that people talk about. But we're talking about games today and not AI, other stuff. But yes, this is what's interesting about this topic is that the country is actually coming together to actually put in policies to handle AI. And we have Microsoft going completely into AI games. And then we have Valve and Steam going hard against AI and integrating into games and AI stuff. So when it comes to governmental levels, and don't get me wrong, companies, and I will say this a little bit, and I will be talking a lot, Susie's going to be, she's the one that's bringing a lot of content, but I think I'll have
attempting to anyways.
She has plenty. I've had to deal with the AI thing a little bit more and more. Right. Companies think AI can do more than it can. And honestly, this is not general artificial intelligence. These are just little AI tools that can do one specific thing really well.
Right.
They're like hyper-focusing programs, let's say.
Yeah.
They don't do everything well. They do one specific thing well. And so it'll be interesting to see how they grow out to improve our workflows in life and all that. But there's going to be some big dangers to like losing jobs. Yeah. I've even seen this in my career, and I've been slightly affected, even though it wasn't by AI itself. But like getting a new job was much harder because companies aren't hiring as many people, and some are expecting AI to pick up more work than it potentially can at this point. Let's just be fair.
Well, I mean, how many weeks of the writer's strike did we have in Hollywood recently because of the whole debacle of how AI is going to present in that industry? You know, from writing of shows, even supplementing actors into films that they are not physically involved in. You know, and don't get me wrong, like Disney loves its de-aging stuff to, you know, bring actors back from the dead or to make them younger or whatever.
I de-aged myself.
Oh. Smooth as a baby's bottom.
It's smooth. It's smooth. If you're watching, I'm just like screwing around. Sorry. Continue.
But, you know, so there's an entire writer strike along with other, issues that are obviously going on in that industry, but that's a big one of how does AI affect their jobs, especially when Hollywood's like all too eager to be like, oh, we can just type whatever we want into Chat GPT and get a movie.
They're so eager to replace writers. They're so eager. Mm-hmm. I don't know why. They're already multimillionaires. And people want to say, like, certain groups want to say, oh, well, that's Hollywood, corrupt Hollywood, whatever. What industry isn't trying to vie for the most amount of money and the least amount of responsibilities for destroying our society?
To be honest, it's very human nature to hoard resources.
Oh, it is. The
problem is that it's no longer for survival. It's purely out of just greed.
It's greed. It looks good. Some people are on automatic. It looks good. You have obligations to people that are investing. There's so much, and it's going to be. I talk about this a little too much, but it's going to be the doom of humanity potentially. But we can evolve.
We don't want bunch of corporations ruled by Smaug. Smaug, whatever his name.
It's probably Smaug, but yeah, I'm thinking of Fog.
A dragon, hoarding its gold in their Swiss bank accounts.
At least it's an enemy that we can go and attack. Right now, it's frowned upon if you go and attack people to get their money. I don't think people like that. You usually go to jail.
No.
Dragons, I think you're a little bit more forgiven for destroying a dragon. Probably
depending
not.
On which universe.
If it was in today's world, they're like, it's endangered. You can't kill that.
I don't know, man. I grew up with Dragonheart.
True.
And I don't know. Killing dragons is just sad.
I knew what she's going to say. I knew about it. So.
It's a good movie.
Yeah, we could work with the AI. We could work with everything. We could put in policies. We could do so much to make this such an easier time to enslave the AI to build the games for us that we want. I want more Resident Evil and Half-Life mixed together. AI, make me Half-Life Resident Evil game right now.
Right.
Where it's hordes of headcrab zombies. Okay. Honestly, I would play that. Something about putting a little bit of a personal touch on something like AI is kind of cool, but knowing that an AI made something, I can appreciate it. But if it's like a long labored thing, I'm gonna appreciate even more that it took a lot of work to build something to make it. If it was almost instantaneous, it almost feels cheap. It feels not authentic, and so it'll be interesting to see how people take to this. But if you give me a really good experience that's Half-Life 3 based, because Valve will never give that to me, then I don't know. Right. Maybe I'm sold. Maybe I'm ready to be enslaved.
Someone needs to go do a cleansing at Valve so they are no longer afraid of the number 3.
Go take
go burn some
sage.
Triple sage or something.
Triple sage.
And just, thou shalt not be afraid of the number 3.
Sounds like
you will produce Portal 3. Half-Life 3.
It sounds like a strain of pot or something like that.
You know what? It's maybe the game industry. Maybe it's just, essential oils and magic mushrooms. I don't know.
Magic mushrooms is like the tech bros in San Diego or
San Francisco.
San Diego probably too.
Probably.
Not. I don't know. Oh my gosh, the AI is going to start getting high. What makes an AI high? That's besides the point.
I do find it interesting, though, the guy who runs ChatGPT, and I think he also runs one other AI system.
Yeah.
He carries a backpack with him, like, almost everywhere he goes, which has, like, the kill switch for his AI, in case we, reach singularity anytime soon.
That's not going to be reaching singularity anytime soon.
Yeah. You never know.
It'd have to. If it did happen, it'd probably be very slow to a point, and then it will rapidly evolve. But doesn't mean its whole systems would. It's just it'd be a domino effect. Like once that domino's hit, even if there is a kill switch, we'll see.
Yeah.
Because they could do redundancies out into other systems if it's open to the internet. There's a lot of guards, though. Okay.
But, I mean, we are... so the Biden administration just signed an executive order...
on artificial intelligence. And I'll be honest, this is good. We need more regulation into certain areas. Artificial intelligence is one of them.
And it's good that we're having the discussion on a broader scale now because, to be fair, like it's just one of those things that we have our theories, we have our movies, we have our whatever that talk about AI, but we don't know exactly. So I think it's better to take a more cautious approach to this and try to be logical. And
it's always good to be you know what, it's always the balancing act when you're getting into a new field. Like you don't want too much regulation, but at the same time you don't also want to destroy the world with no regulation. So there's always the balances. I know people don't like regulation, people don't like to be told what to do, but you know what, there's a lot of stuff that happens, and there's a lot of regulation food-wise that's saved us in the past. If we did not put in extra bills, help fund programs, food-wise, we wouldn't have the food abundance we have today.
Right.
Which has both harmed and helped us a lot. We wouldn't have a lot of different things without regulation and interventions. I think this is a good thing, but I haven't read through everything. And do you have some stuff on it? I guess.
So basically, from this article, it's from IGN. It talked about how
IGN, my favorite political news site.
No, but I mean, it is important given the impact of AI in all these industries. So it's to create standards to detect and protect Americans from AI-generated fraud and deception.
Which is a good one. Yes. I think this is going to lead into how you have revenge porn that's illegal now? Luckily, like they actually did something. But I think it was affecting politicians. That's why.
Wait till it, affects the politicians, and then they'll do something.
Oh, and the best part, you probably haven't seen these. Maybe we should watch these in the bonus level, but... Biden playing Call of Duty was fun to watch him play that, and that's potential. Biden and some of the other.
That was the AI, right?
Was it? It was, but that's maybe what's sparking some of this. I feel like our lawmakers don't care about us until it affects them. They're a little bit selfish.
Oh, your kid died at that crosswalk? Well, I don't care. Oh, my kid died at that crosswalk. We need a light. We need a stop sign. We need
no more crosswalks.
No more crosswalks.
Yeah, it's very selfish and very irresponsible of them. And oftentimes it even has to come with money that they have to make. And so with this, there's...
Welcome to the Politics Revealed podcast.
Well, I'll be honest. This podcast is probably a little bit more mature of a podcast. We will have fun. I like to screw around. I like the joke. But there's things that, I'm getting older. There's certain things that bother me I want to talk about that I've thought about for years and decades. And AI is one of those things.
There you go.
So that's why this is a fun subject for me. But... from my understanding, it's okay. Yeah. Do you want to continue?
So just to wrap this up just a little bit, it creates standards to protect against using AI to develop biological materials. Create standards to generating fraud and deception, and ensure the government is using AI ethically and efficiently in accordance to its guidelines and any subsequent legislation that may get passed by Congress or become law.
Nice. So here's the thing. It's a little toothless at times, from my understanding. I have listened to a few podcast episodes myself on this subject. From my understanding, it's a little toothless, but at the same time, having standards is a good start.
Yes.
Starting to talk about standards, people don't like to be put in little boxes, but for things like this, especially when it comes to government and implementing systems that are going to be potentially AI affecting the highest portions of our government and systems there, nukes, blah, blah, blah. We don't want some AI getting access to new codes. There is a lot of importance that needs to go into these standards.
And to clarify, like, this isn't regulating anything. This is not putting any regulations down on any specific AI company or program at this moment. It's simply beginning to lay out standards and ethical, whatever you'd call it, but just also trying to work with our allies and others around the world to sort of start having this dialogue of how we need to approach the subject of AI.
Yeah. And I think that's important. So I think there is the start and the bud of laws being potentially created from this, hopefully, concerning like deep fakes. Deep fakes, and a lot of celebrities and have had porn made from them, and it can be very violating. So there's going to be deep fake of that type of stuff. I think that's going to be becoming illegal soon.
Well, yeah, even for like just YouTube celebrities, like there's been stuff like that, and
a lot,
and it's very damaging,
especially when some don't care. Me, I don't mind looking buff. Whatever. If I look buff, awesome. But others have gone through a lot of major issues throughout their lives. I could think of one. She's a streamer, Cutie Cinderella, who's gone through all of this. This is just throwing out someone who's been affected by it and why it's a big deal. Heavily affected by this. And just, it's awkward. It's really awkward for, she's had issues in the past with, I believe, SA, with an assault stuff. So just seeing your body being essentially simulated and put out there without your consent is very horrible. Like, you should be doing consent. Honestly, consent is a big deal, no matter what it is. And so this is going to come from it. I'm sorry, but for those that don't like the idea of consent, you should start liking consent. And even before it becomes illegal, stop doing what you're doing. Okay. Yeah. But this is I guess beyond games, kind of games. It is games.
Well, again, this affects the entire industry.
Yeah. Well, Cutie Cinderella she does a lot of different things, baker and all that, but she does play League of Legends.
Yeah. So again, it affects, we're here on the platform YouTube, you use Twitch, we're talking hardware, we're talking video games, we're talking about, a broad spectrum of an industry that covers both gaming, entertainment, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So it's all sort of wrapped up into the same thing of that this affects a lot of different angles of, the entertainment industry.
Yes.
So, however you want to put that.
Yes.
Yes.
I keep on saying yes. No, 100%. You're correct. And I think we've got a good understanding of like the government starting to intervene. I do think there's going to be laws coming into place on the whole deep fake stuff. Partially because it's affecting politicians more and more. And there's one thing, politicians don't like to be mocked. So they'll save us once it affects them. This is disaster. You need to fix. Need to get whatever you think of politics, that needs to get fixed. So, I really don't want AI to take us down in like 30 years because we're just squabbling. At least we got some standards coming along.
True, that's very true. But what I do find interesting is that Microsoft, as of today, I believe, or at least in the last couple of days, has announced that it is partnering with InWorld AI to start creating an AI-enhanced game developer tool for Xbox developers. Sorry. Now, from the article, I think this is just to be used by anyone who develops games for Xbox as sort of an enhancement tool. Both story, graphics, character design, that kind of a thing.
Which it's just double checking on something. Which is good. I think tooling and stuff that can help developers. Let's say, I need a quick script of this one person made up, or I have like a ton of NPCs, like let's say thousands of NPCs, and I want unique dialogue.
Right.
Well, you can create a model of the world in the sense of, hey, this is a sci-fi world, and just tell it. And if you're, let's say it's probably going to be some type of chat GPT-esque system based off of Microsoft's AI system, and they'll feed models. That's how AI works, is that you have a modeling system. You have to feed it and kind of grow the AI into a little bit of a specific construct, or has specific constraints to it to help it really produce high quality stuff.
Yeah.
With some exceptions there, of course. With this, let's say with what Microsoft doing, it's a cyberpunk world. NPCs. You want 1,000 unique NPCs in it that can talk to you about different things. Well, you can feed the AI what the world is. It's cyberpunk, dystopian, bunch of different things about the world and how the people interact. And then you can say, hey, create 1,000 dialogue trees, different dialogue trees, which could be in of them own tens to hundreds of different dialogues. Like, you select this, they'll respond this way, they'll select, et cetera, et cetera. You could even do much bigger, take a long time, and be probably pretty expensive, and do voice activated. But that's besides the point. That we're going to be getting there. Right. We'll be getting, this could help with voice activated. No playthrough of some games will be the same, which some games would benefit greatly from that. Other games would, like, it's good to have a well-structured, thought-out story, chat, dialogue with your NPCs, especially very little bit, like just a couple. As we can see, like Starfield and some other games, they try to put too much in, and they're all generic. And it's just like, but maybe an AI could help make it less generic.
Yeah, potentially. Well, and the interesting thing too about this partnership is that InWorld AI character engine was used in GTA 5. It was the engine tool to create the AI powered GTA 5 story, and
that's right.
Story mod Sentient Streets.
Yep, and that's so cool. Okay, yeah, I 100% agree with this. Now, here's the problem, and the problem is Steam's not going to allow these types of games. So Xbox will release them, Steam will not. We'll see. This could force Steam, and I don't want to get into Steam quite yet, but this could force Steam to have to think about what their standard is going to be. Because right now, if there's a hint of AI in your game, anything created AI-wise, they ban it. You cannot have it in the store, and they're pretty zealous about this. Okay. It's interesting Microsoft's playing around with a little more, but I think they're coming from a good side where it's like you can't have flat out things made by AI, like meaning like too much or replace everything, but you can have assets. And I think, honestly, having variations, like this could really help with variations and helping. Right. I just don't ever want to see AI overtake building video games altogether. I'd like, let's say, a modeler of someone that's creating art for whatever it is. Right. I'd like to see it help them in the sense of, once they get done, like, okay, I want to see different models of different colors or different variations we can do with these parameters, just so I don't have to spend. I can be creative on the original or on the first one or a few things, but then have the AI help them make the world feel very diverse with different versions of food, games, but weapons or whatever it is. Like Borderlands 4, maybe we'll have like actually truly a million billion weapons that are different instead of like have like a Borderlands 3. I know that's going to affect you a little bit. Yeah, and putting it in that terms is a really good point, because using that example of like Borderlands 3, yes, they promoted, hey, we've got gajillion weapons or whatever it was. Yeah. And in the end, most of it sucked. Like, I cannot tell you. You love opening chests. And you're just like, no. I know, but no, the thing is, you loved it. And you're just like, I think for Borderlands 2. Oh, like, oh, am I going to get something good? This is going to be something spicy. Am I going to love it? Is it going to be a ring? So to put on my other gun, I don't know. Like, in some games, they have like little things you can put on your gun. The whole point of
Borderlands are the chests.
Yeah.
Like there's a big, yes, every game has like their chests that you open to get like ammo or whatever. But I feel like in Borderlands, it's just
the ammo thing gets really annoying, and the money thing kind of. But opening it, if I saw a chest, even in Borderlands 3, if I saw a chest with weapons, I'm like, sweet.
Yeah, no, it's one of the highlights of the game in some ways.
Loot
is the loot.
It's a looter shooter, so you better come with good loot. They don't.
Yeah. No, and it was just too much of weapons being the same over and over and over again. They were just different by like one spec here or there, and you got so many of those. So I could totally see, if you left something like that, not all of it, but some of maybe like the polishing and the rounding out to an AI tool, it would be better.
Yeah, I think if you say, hey, chests of this color need to have rare things, and make sure it's really worth what the user's wanting, or the player that is, if they're worked really hard to get it. Like there's some things that like, we worked hard. Why did you randomize this in such a way? We worked hard. Just give me one weapon that's decent out of this. And
anytime we ended up in a vault, which the vaults were supposed to be where you got
the vaults were the worst.
The best, right? Like that's what it was made out to sound like. It was the best. The only thing that was decent about it is that you got money out of it. The weapons were terrible.
You also can't remember if this was in second or third or both. You also got the special currency, mineral, metal, whatever that thing is. That material you could get to buy specialty weapons.
I think that was only in the third.
Upgrades. Was it only the third? Yeah, probably. All I know is, you could upgrade your, I believe, storage and a bunch of other things with it.
Yeah, but beyond that, like the vaults were awful, and they made it feel like that's not how it was supposed to be.
Yeah. No, the problem is bombastic advertising can only go so far. The first Borderlands I thought was kind of boring. Second one was perfect. It had some good weapons, some good balances everywhere. And then the third, they just went over the top and like, we're going to have more. It's like the Apple thing. Apple every year it's better. It's better by like 1%. And it's like, cool. I mean, you have to sell it somehow. Hopefully with an AI, we could maybe remedy some of this. Because to be fair, it's not like you'd have to hire so many people. If you want to, let's say 1,000 unique, you're going to need a helper. And I think having an AI helper for certain things that are near impossible to make things really cool for a game would be awesome.
So this is a quote from the Xbox General Manager of Gaming, AI, Haiyan Tsang. I believe his name is Asian, and I
Haiyan Zhang.
Yeah, we'll go with that. So he said, or he wrote, together we aim to deliver an accessible, responsibly designed multi-platform AI tool set to assist and empower creators in dialogue, story, and quest design. As with all creator tools at Xbox, our goal is to deliver state-of-the-art AI for game developers of any size, anywhere in the world, and on every platform where players want to play.
Honestly, I'll be honest, as a game developer myself, I could use something like that. As a studio, I want to have a studio, but I don't think I'll ever have a studio of more than 10, 20 people. We'll see. I mean, if I end up with a sleeper success, that'd be awesome, but I'm trying to be semi-realistic. And having a tool to help me with the quest design and story and dialogue, all that, that'd be really nice. I'm hoping Unreal has something, but I'm also hoping Steam allows for it. But yeah, that being said, I think this is cool. I'm sure some people are a little worried. I'm sure some people that are that's their specific responsibility with games might be a little worried, but I'm going to give two different sides of advice on this. Companies, don't fire them. Trust me, you're going to want to keep the ones that already exist, hire more, and have them use the tool and tweak certain things from it.
Right.
And vice versa. Don't quit what you're doing. Game designers that do the story, dialogue, and all that, hopefully lean into the tool and improve your processes and maybe prove that you're even better with it. And I just don't. I want us to, as much as I cautioned and I was like, oh, AI, all that, I want us to use the tools coming out to even delve further into more vast worlds that are awesome.
Right.
I don't want us to stifle innovation, but I do understand that like some innovation without some controlling, like, or some leading and all that can just run out of control.
So 2 points here. One, it's good that we're having these discussions, that we're talking about it.
Yes.
I don't think that, AI inherently is bad, but I think it can be an awesome tool to do a lot of things. We just have to use common sense when it comes to it. And,
Common sense?
I know.
Who has that these days?
No one. I don't know if we ever had it, to be honest.
That's what I need. That's what I need an AI for. I need a common sense AI. They should just call it common sense.
Right.
It's the voice in the back of my head.
But the other point I was going to make.
I was going to make a joke, but I'm not
sorry,
going
I'm
to.
sorry.
No, it's okay because it's probably not.
I just don't want to lose the thought in my head.
It's going to be a bad joke.
I'm
Continue.
trying to. But the other point is that not every person or group of people that are writing a story are a Tolkien or a Brandon Sanderson or even George R. Martin, where they have very expansive world building. Like Tolkien and Brandon Sanderson specifically are great examples of hard world builders, of like they've thought about every little detail about the worlds that they create, how they work, how they function, the history, the everything like that. And people that can do that are very rare. Even people in groups that can think that in depth about something doesn't always happen. So having something that can help, I think, sort of mimic that, I think has the potential to maybe creating, like you said, more in-depth, more, expansive games. Yeah.
I agree. Like honestly, I just want to see like a system that's going to help people do it more, because we've gotten so many games that are story-based that are just kind of flops, and it's partially because the world isn't very believable. There's just so much missing in it. Movies are going that way too in some ways, where like you have a lot of it's pretty, but the world's just not as fun and vibrant, or it's missing. It could be dark and gritty and still be like live and vibrant. I know that sounds weird, but like you can,
Well, I mean, going back to Lord of the Rings, look at that. I mean, that is a very dark story in a lot of ways.
But it has a vibrancy to it.
But there is a vibrancy to it. It
feels alive. Yeah, a great game to take into account for this type of stuff is Mass Effect. The first one could have used a lot of polishing, as it's very it doesn't hold up as well as the other two. Don't get me wrong, I still think that the first one's a really good game and a masterpiece in somewhat of its own. It's just the other two are so good. The second and third one, the dialogue that you have, interacting with these people, the world that it built, it's like Star Wars meets Star Trek in some ways. You get your adventuring, but you also have your science side of things. It's very thought-provoking. And maybe that's not for everyone, but for me, I love it. And if an AI could just help improve and fill in the holes, that would be so awesome.
Yeah. Another thought that I just had is, I know a lot of people talk about how, good ideas are dead, all this other stuff. The thing is that I took a writing class a couple of years ago, and
on the typewriter, by the way.
On the typewriter, yeah.
That's how old she is.
Ding.
Honestly, if you ever used a typewriter, they're very fun.
Yes.
Continue.
Very clacky. And I can't remember the amount of plot lines that there are, but there's only something like, let's say 20. It's honestly 25 is a max for how many actual plot lines exist in the world that you could create a story from. And I think sometimes we also underestimate just how much material has been written in the last 200 years in terms of literature, film, everything like that. Like, there's so much. So one, like, if you're expecting something completely unique, doesn't exist. Because again, there's only a finite amount of frameworks that, that exist anyways. And secondly, a lot of ideas have already been used or fleshed out or whatever. So I don't know. I like the idea of something that can maybe like take all of that and maybe rework it in a way that maybe people haven't thought about it in a while. And again, it may not be entirely unique, but it will be something new. But again, it always just comes back to, I think the potential for what it can do is really cool. Just, we need to be careful is all. And
thus,
not replace.
The regulation.
Yeah, and not replace
And
people.
Here's the thing. I'm not necessarily against replacing people per se. I think there will be companies that say, hey, we're 100% authentic developers who don't use any AI. I think that's going to be a selling point in the future on a lot of different things, games, software, whatever it is. I think there's going to be like this, we're like old school somewhat. I think there's going to be whatever. My problem is once people cannot make enough money to pay for the stuff that they need to, companies start folding. Only the top dogs are making enough to continue. Things kind of start to erode if people cannot have a job and have money.
Right.
So that is my biggest issue. And I know I've talked about UBIs and all that. And like that's for maybe a different podcast altogether, not even episode. We definitely have to be cautious about replacing people too fast before governments can catch up and everything. So that's my biggest worry. I do like the way that Microsoft is handling it now. I just hope that they don't. I hope they don't screw it up and add too much and really like evolve this thing into a beast they can't control down the road. That's my biggest fear. Right. But I think with a good regulation and good foresight, it's worth delving into. I just don't trust companies to do the right thing.
Well, honestly, and here's the problem. We're not very good at we're not very good at when something's not working. We're not very good at like fixing it in the sense of like, hey, if this regulation has run its course and needs to be updated, we're not very good at updating those regulations.
I think it depends on what it is.
Or if it doesn't work, we don't replace it. Or, there's a lot of different things where it's like.
Oftentimes, we just have a lot of legislation that is old that doesn't even matter. It doesn't affect anything. It's just like, why do you still have this? Like, honestly, people want to say how free America is, but go to some states and some of their laws, you're like,
I don't know, man. I can't go whale fishing in Nebraska.
Yeah,
I feel oppressed. I want to hunt those whales in Nebraska.
There's a lot of things. Like, you'd be surprised if
anyone does not live in the United States, Nebraska is very landlocked.
Yeah.
In fact, I don't know if they really even have that big of a lake.
Why would they? I don't know. We don't need to get into reasons of.
Yeah, I can't remember if that's the state that you can't go whale fishing, but there's one landlocked state that you can't go whale fishing for some weird reason.
Yeah, we've watched. I've watched YouTubes. I believe we've together watched YouTubes on like weird laws. But yeah, it's stupid. Sometimes having the different states and different laws is stupid. They can't even enforce it. Like, I mean, up until a few years ago, like it was legal to kill a Mormon in
Missouri,
which obviously it
that was up until like I think the 1970s or something like that.
Yeah, recent enough. But here's the thing: if you did try to kill someone, you still would be going against another law, which is murder. So
yeah,
I don't. That was never a serious one, but still. Murder is serious, I guess. So, similar things with all this stuff. Who knows what laws they're going to place on different levels to regulate all this? What's going to be old and archaic, and I don't know. I think it is good to set some just basic regulations, and we've been talking about that this whole time.
Yep.
So.
I think the earlier they start the discussion, the earlier they start putting down things, the better.
Yeah. I will have to ask, if you can comment, if you're on YouTube or if you're in Discord or if you're on Spotify, if there's any way for you to comment, I want to know what you think. Do you think that these companies like Microsoft, and if Valve gets into it, maybe they won't, are going to be doing good forever with this type of stuff? Or do you think they're eventually going to fire all their developers and start studios of just AI created content from the developers previously? So they trained, let's say they have 50 games come out with all their developers and they've trained so much data. So now they're like, we've got Halo down quite a bit. And in fact, we don't believe in 343. We're going to, you're gone. We're going to just create Halo games that are AI generated that are better than you. We're going to have Cortana making her own games, which now that I'm saying this.
Now that's meta.
Yeah, now that I'm saying this, that sounds really awesome. I kind of want that, even though it's really messed up. I
Brought
want
to you by Cortana.
Yeah, Cortana's gonna be like alive, like I'm building this game right now for you, baby. While you're like playing the game, she's like jumping out. Player, hey, yeah, you wearing the umbrella Resident Evil hat. Hey, I need you to go down this corridor. I believe there's something going on down there that we need to take care of. And I'm like, yes, mommy, Cortana, I'll go do that now. Just kidding. I have to be cringe for Susie.
You and I have very different fantasies.
It's such, doing the mommy thing is such a fun thing. I know it's a little cringe, but it's so fun because it gets. I love reactions from people, so of course I'm going to use it. And Resident Evil also has a mommy in there too, and the newest Resident Evil 8. Okay, besides the point.
Tall, dark, and vampy.
Tall, dark, and vampy. It's very scary towards the end of that arc. But, yes, comment below. We could be Distractable's podcast sisters, or what's a very less known relation to something? I don't know.
Your cousin's niece's
yes
neighbor twice removed.
There we go, podcast. With how distracted we get. So let us know in the comments what you guys think of the AI and how this is all going to change and things and everything. I'm really curious.
Yeah.
Also, I think we need to start having people have questions so we can answer them in certain specialties. But that's besides the point. Let's continue on Steam.
Mm-hmm.
So while Microsoft's working on tooling to promote AI generation in games, which I think that's a smart thing, I also think that the creativity amount requires so much that integrating it too much at this point, you're just going to get a ton of garbage games, and we already have a lot of fluff games. Mm-hmm. That's my biggest fear for my game is like I'm going to create something that people don't want because it's just generic, even though I'm trying to make it as generic-less as possible, non-generic as possible. Right. Steam, I don't even think, I don't know if, I need to check Unreal's 2024. They might have some stuff with AI, but they're probably being careful so that what they create won't die on Steam.
Right.
Steam are the ones kind of hurting the innovation a little bit, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
They're stopping anything, like I mentioned earlier, from AI being generated. If it's text, if it's one little thing, one little mention, they will ban it. I've read so many different Reddits on this. What do you think about that? She agrees with it. She's
I see why it's sort of a hill that they're sort of dying on right now.
I don't even know if they're dying on it. It's just a hill.
That's probably the wrong.
It's a hill they're building right now. We'll see how
that's a better way of framing it. But like again, because again we had the writer strike. We've had a lot of concern about AI replacing jobs. Yep. And the potential for this is so much different than say the Industrial Revolution, where yes, manpower was replaced by machines, but you still needed humans to manage those machines.
Make the machines, manage
where
them, repair
AI,
them. In fact,
theoretically, sorry, go ahead.
Well, in some ways, more jobs were created from a lot of industrial booms.
Yes.
AI is going to be the one
where theoretically AI just replaces humans with itself.
And I know what people are thinking. I've had this discussion with a lot. I am typically for innovations where it's like, well, yeah, we'll create new jobs. In no way is AI going to create new jobs. I'm sorry. You're living in a fantasy world if you think I'm pretty generous with this type of stuff, an AI will eventually be able to train itself fully. Like they already can train themselves, but it's better for a human to train it depending on what it's doing. But eventually it'll become self-training, which is so we'll see about that.
Yeah.
And then eventually it will be able to maintain itself in a lot of ways. The only thing we'll have to do is maintain its servers, its infrastructure, its hardware, stuff like that, which wouldn't be a programmer's job as much as an IT person. And even then, automation could get to the point where it could be self-maintained.
Well, AI isn't just, ChatGPT on steroids.
No.
AI also applies to, robotics and stuff like that.
Automations. Anything that can be automated where it's not human managed or done or whatever is automation.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry.
Well, and the problem too is that there are a lot of countries in the world that ethically look at things very differently than we do in sort of a Western context. And so the problem is always going to be, maintaining, levels of power and economics, and it's very complicated, especially when you're having to compete with other people who
geopolitics is a very complicated system.
I mean, the whole reason why we had the arms race of the last century was because of that. Yep. And so, again, it's all super complicated, and they're way smarter, way more informed people that can.
I agree,
have
but
way
I also
more in-depth conversations about it.
How stupid can we be if we can't just get along? I mean, we're past the part where we need to fight for resources. With the right automation and with the right programs in, we could make it so that life's a lot easier.
I agree. Unfortunately, I think humans have been hardwired so hard with.
We can evolve, though. We could evolve 100%, and get beyond
but
that.
It takes a lot of time.
I do think that some rich people are going to be very sad when they get murked because the lower class can't eat. But we're gonna see. I know I love progress, but I'm a little bit.
You would have been after Marie Antoinette when she said, "Let them eat cake," which she didn't, by the way. But
I know, but it's a good saying. Like, let them eat the mobile phones. Well, we can't afford the mobile phones. Well,
let them eat the iPhone 20.
It's going to be like iPhone 30 by then. But yeah, completely AI created. Steve Jobs' ghost hologram is going to come out and be like, and this is the first iPhone to be completely created by me and my army of AI automated systems. And you know what the best feature of this one is? No choice. You're going to get one. Everyone.
You have to have the blue text bubbles.
Everyone.
It is no longer a social status.
It is a requirement to live now. They are being shipped out and you're being enslaved. I mean, you're going to be given each one free of charge. Just requires your soul, digital soul.
Okay, conspiracy theories and fantasy aside, back to Steam. And
I think they're going to have to change. I think with everything, once we see things can be a little bit more ethically done in the gaming industry, hopefully, they'll probably open it up to guidelines too.
Well, I mean, I think Valve likes to pride itself on kind of being, like, look, we have our Steam store. It has, the most whatever. I mean,
there's a lot of crappy games on Steam and a lot released, but like people put their hard work into that. So there's something like that as opposed to someone like, hey, ChatGPT, make a game like this. And
hey,
it's just garbage.
Do my deposition for me.
Yeah.
So I can
or someone doesn't like they could spam. They like make 50 games in a day and just spam the store. I think they want to prevent that type of thing.
100%.
Not that thing's necessarily happening yet.
They like to boast that they have like an amazing collection. Like they're kind of lead in the industry in terms of like being a game library, that kind of a thing. And I think at some point, depending on the game, they probably will have to make exceptions.
No, they're going to probably, if it's big enough, let's say the new GTA, which we were talking about GTA 5, but let's say the new GTA as an example, has a piece of AI, they're going to have to do something at that point because they're going to lose so much money on that game if it's not on the store.
Right.
So I'm sure there'll be some willing and dealing. Maybe they're just rejecting it because they're like, we don't want to accept anything until we're ready with guidelines. Yeah. I bet you Valve is something up their sleeve because I do think AI assisted systems for game developers will be a big helping point, and especially like if it can help the tedious parts or the parts where you're like, I could use another engineer or modeler, but I can't afford it, and it's not really like the most important. It just needs to be. It's like a lot of busy work. It'd be nice to be able to have an AI take that, and maybe we'd get a boon in indie games with a lot more robust video games that are just like done by a team of 10, maybe 2.
Right.
So I think it's both. Like it maybe could help save us from EA's and Activision's, but
right.
Would you want Activision to have control of the AI that morphs in? What do you think AI would come up with?
I have no idea.
I don't know if I want to know. Like we've seen some pretty bad remakes or remasters, that is, like Blizzard with Reforged. Imagine if they had, like, the poor Blizzard community has been effed over so hard over the years. Imagine if they could just have AI pumping out content.
They're so desperate, though.
They might be. They're definitely going to be hurting in the near future.
Well, actually, didn't the one dude step down from Blizzard and Activision?
That was Unity.
Oh, was that Unity?
Yeah, the main guy is probably part of the cell. It's going to retire, but I can't remember his name from Unity, Activision, or not Unity, but Blizzard, Activision. But all the C's execs need to retire from Blizzard. They've done a horrible job. So, even though, I mean, money-wise, they've done a great job. Game-wise, they're just like, honestly, it's atrocious what they're doing to their IPs from a long-term aspect. But it will be interesting to see what AI does. It'd be cool to have like an AI master to say, hey, we're building this. We're going to have this story. We're going to do this. How does, like, and then like even validate the game and aspects of the world with the AI to say, and see if the AI is like, well, there's gaps everywhere in the story or in this quest or whatever, because that does happen in movies and whatever. I'm sure someone's read a book even that's like,
right,
this is cool and all, but there's like a major gap, and like, I know this isn't real, but if it's too big of a gap, and we're human, we can miss things even with a big team.
Like, so, you know, I've made it known on the channel, like I've enjoyed Hogwarts Legacy a lot.
Bad Susie.
I will say this about the game, and there are parts of it that are very vague. The level design outside of Hogwarts is repetitive.
Yep.
It's honestly just the same thing over and over again. There's not a lot of diversity in sort of the set design or whatever you would call it from, you know, once you get out of Hogwarts. And the story, a lot of the parts of like the main story that you're playing, there's a lot of just missing gaps where you're like, this doesn't make sense, or that feels just very thrown together or thrown in there, where it's like more detail, more fleshing out would have been nice. And they didn't need to take, 3 extra hours of gameplay to explain these things in the story, an extra 10, 15 minutes of, well-placed, dialogue or storytelling or whatever would have sufficed.
Yeah.
But without that, there's just a lot of it that you're like, okay, this is cool, but I need more.
Yep.
To really sink my teeth in and know what's going on.
Yep. No, Hogwarts. I need to finish that game. I do like it, but it definitely, there's parts of where I'm like, wow, they put a lot of time in it. And other parts I'm like, need a little bit more time to bake. But it's the first of the series, and I'm sure it sounds like they're making the next one. It's a good start.
Yeah.
And maybe with AI, it could have fixed, because the studio is also, I believe, a little younger of a studio. It could have fixed some issues that were involved there.
And again, this isn't, like, in terms of AI, like in the example of Hogwarts, it's not replacing at all the writing team. It's not replacing any of the the designers, anything like that. It just would have been nice, like, if there was a tool that, like, hey, maybe every third house isn't the exact same house in every village, or
the tools aren't out for something like that, but it would be really cool to see something like that.
And I don't know exactly how it's going to work, but just something that could polish it a little bit better. Yeah. It's honestly, it's like having what's the name? Somebody that looks over an editor.
Yeah, no, honestly, that's not a bad way to put it.
Yeah, it's more like having an editor.
An editor, yeah.
I'd like to see it used that way, not necessarily like replacing the upfront work.
I want to see it do both. I want it to be an authenticator, or like an essentially just a validator, that is. And I want it to also be able to create redundancies that are areas where it's really just repetitive and sucks as a developer to do. Like creating variations can get kind of tedious after a while, and that's why the repetition comes into play. It's always the balance, man. So with that, we do need to end this episode. We'll in the bonus level, maybe we'll come up with our favorite. If we could have an AI generate the perfect game, maybe, or something like that.
We'll figure it out. You'll find out in the bonus material if you are a member.
Become a member on YouTube for now. Soon there'll be a membership option on Games Revealed again, which will unlock that stuff. So we're going to be doing some more work there with level ups or point systems and stuff like that.
All good things to come.
All good things to come. I'm not going to overpromise, I guess. I always do that. Yes, working on good stuff. With that, I don't think there's anything else. All I know is
like, comment, share, subscribe, hit the notification.
Bash that bell with your crowbar.
That one.
And be fearful of the future and the AI revolution and the AI master overlords that are going to come to enslave us and force us to play all the good games. That hopefully will come from. At least we'll get something good. So thank you guys for watching.
Yep. Thanks, guys.
Catch you guys later. Peace out. Later.
Bye.
Congrats. Secret level unlocked. You can find us on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter to curb that craving for more. If you like this episode, then make sure to leave a like, rating, follow, or whatever the platform has. Also, make sure to check out our merch at shop.gamesrevealed.com or shopundead.com. Peace.